What's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy here, Wesley from A Connection TV here on YouTube. And guess what? What up? Guess what? Miss Fauna was like, I noticed I'm fucking not about to talking about me using my face and his fly ain't. I'm not gonna get my word in. You got me die. She said, you finna have to pop it. What's going on, Fauna? So yeah, check it right. Fauna was in my comments, and she was on my Instagram. She was like, okay, you said so you're gonna use my face in the flyer and not get my side of the story. I'm like, friend, I didn't know you was on that type of time with communicating with your boy. You know what I mean? I didn't know. So she was like, we're gonna have to get on this phone. I was like, all right. No, that's not how she came, but you know, she was like, what up? Like, I know you're not about to just give Tavi's perspective. She was like, yeah, we need to talk. Cause yeah. And so she went under my video and left a comment. I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Now she leaving comments because a fan of hers left this long ass dissertation. And she was like, yeah, I don't know what he tripping for. Where'd that go? Damn, now Fauna is the bad guy because she has a voice. She had one last year, so why should she be quiet now? Tavii was never friends with the Pretty Three. She just pushed her away, and after LCK and Cream found out who Tavii was and stopped dealing with her. Now Fauna is finding out Tavii is super annoying with all that yelling. I can see why they're not getting along. Fauna seems to be acting the same as last season. Only difference is she doesn't have to keep fighting Dolly, Lex, and Dumber all season. And Fauna was like, 100, 100, 100. Then somebody said, keep getting your camera time. You deserve it. Do not let them make you think you're doing too much because you're into it with their faves. You're one of my faves. Stand on big business. Who cares if a hater is mad? Nah, you keep picking on Nunu. You annoying. Fauna need a storyline. She got to do something since she not fighting the big three. Why would you force beef? That's why the shows be repetitive and boring. Y'all don't let things happen naturally. It's just phase with no dialogue. Besides the cliche words, Fauna is giving BGC vibes. That's your opinion. Something I care about, something I care nothing about. Get your old ass from under my comment and go watch Good Times. Baby. Fauna, they defending you, Miss Mamas. They is defending you. And that's cool. Y'all can have y'all faves, but don't blindly have a fave. Like, in the video, I didn't say Fauna was wrong. In the video, I didn't say Fauna was the problem. In the video, I said that Fauna has changed. And even she can admit and did admit on our over 1 hour phone call last night that the editing can portray her or has been portraying her in a certain light. So much so that she don't really even watch the episodes because the way that they're chopped and screwed, my words, not hers, the way that they're chopped and screwed, you're not really getting the full story. Which is why our conversation was about an hour and some change last night. All right? So if Fauna can watch the video and still have a cool, calm, collected conversation with me, why y'all tripping? I was well-rounded in my video. But anyways, I'm here because we talked. And I have to say that I'm pleasantly surprised. Because, not pleasantly surprised, I'm happy. Let me say that. I'm happy because the girl that I was vibing with on Baddies Africa is the girl that I spoke with last night. And the edits aren't really showing everything. And the way that she addressed everything last night, just like, oh, okay. This is still Fauna. You know what I mean? Because everything that she said made sense. Now, as a grown adult, I understand that there's 3 sides to every particular situation. Tammy's side, Fauna's side, and the truth is in the middle. I will happily report that about 75% to maybe 85% of what I spoke on actually happened. It's just two things that are different from Fauna's perspective, which is cool. I like that. I like that. I like that. I don't like to be lied to. So, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Tavii is a liar or Fauna's a liar. What I will say is that perception is reality, right? For those adults that I'm speaking to. And, if you perceive something to be one way, it's just gonna be that. You know what I mean? I don't perceive anything from these women. I just talk about what I see on screens. And I'm glad that she acknowledged that I was talking about what I saw on screens or what I have been seeing online, so much so that she didn't get in her feeds and was like, yeah, I ain't talking to him. He don't know what he's talking about. Instead, she was like, yeah, we need to get on that. Let's talk. And we did talk. First of all, hey, Fauna. Fauna, a little cutie patootie, y'all. She a little cutie patootie. She is. She cute. Now, I'm a professional, and when I got on the phone with her, I made sure that she understood that I was not recording her. Now, I don't know if she recorded me, but I did not record her, all right? And, I don't play around with the shenanigans. And so, because it was not recorded and because the conversation was long, I am just going to, because I wasn't writing notes. We was on video chat, and at the time, I didn't have my second phone to write notes. So I'ma just remember it off the dome. And when we get this interview done, because she's still down to do the interview. When we get this interview done, we'll get the clear and top. But yeah, I know what I'm about. We're gonna talk about it. But just like with Tavii, I need to get something off my chest. I got a lot of stuff off my chest, but I need to get something off my chest, and we talked about it. And it was the Big Lex situation. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And okay, let me not get ahead of myself. It was a great conversation. So Big Lex was on her YouTube Jones talking about Fauna, and with regarding Fauna was like, I didn't like how she wasn't truthful, or how, it made me look at her differently, or whatever the case may be. And when I watched that video, I was like, what is she talking about? Like, what happened? Like, was they flirting with each other? What happened? I don't know. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what was she trying to insinuate but didn't clarify? Because in my mind, why even just do the drink in truth? Why not just do the truth? Why you got to drink? You know what I mean? Like, just tell us what's going on. Why you not going to tell us what you did to Tommie's sister? Like, I don't know. Stuff like that is corny to me. But whatever. It's her channel. She can do whatever she want to do. But when the Fauna piece came up, I was like, what is she talking about? Come to find out that Lex was talking about the mace on the hands joint. Now, I don't even know why she couldn't mention that on her video either. Why she just had to insinuate and made it seem like, Fauna was on some whatever. So they had a conversation about the Mace Jones. And, why didn't Fauna come out and, say that she used mace on her hands? Fauna said, because I didn't use mace on my hands. Again, this is how I'm interpreting it. I didn't use mace on my hands. And Lex didn't like the fact that she proclaimed that she didn't use mace on her hands. But you saw it. Everybody saw it. Fauna was there. Other girls was there. We see the reaction when Mace is involved on the scene. Hell, Suki brought Mace to the scene and sprayed everybody. Nobody reacted like that. Not even Fauna, who had her hands all up in her face. Not even Lex, who got them hands on her face. She was just upset. And she didn't like the fact that she lost like that. It was what it was. Coke killer. Fauna got the best of her. So that's what Lex was referencing, the Mace Jones. Because Fauna was like, yeah, I'm cool with everybody. I got no problem with nobody. And the only thing that she could be talking about is about the Mace Jones, because we talked about it. And she was mad that I wouldn't admit to having mace on my hands when she's like, I'm not going to admit to something that ain't the truth. I said, okay, I like where this conversation's going. I like that. Because I like when the ladies that I see as good people on the show, yeah, they're there are some good women on here in terms of like a hint, a whiff of character. Fauna was one of them. And so in my mind, you know, Baddies Africa, I was always champion, you know, whoop ass, because Lex was just doing the most. And so when she got the one up on her, I said, yeah, get in here, got him. And then, you know, screaming mace, mace, mace. And I'm like, girl, that was no mace. That was them Fauna hands, honey. That was them Fauna hands, right? So boom, cleared that up. And so I want to clear up something too. Another thing, I hinted at it in the last video, but I have to talk about it now because I thought where. And I was like, you don't mind if I talk about it? She was like, I don't care. So in the other video, if you were watching that video, I had made reference of a girl being considered to be fake because in one breath, she's seen being bothered or arguing with, or being on that with Tommie. But then in another breath, she was at the studio with Tommie and it was jonesing. Not like boinking or anything, but like it was no heat, you know, no heat in the kitchen. So it was made reference to her in that situation being fake and phony. I was like, okay, all right. So then I asked her about it. She was like, yeah, me and Tommie had exchanged words, but our heat was never that hot. Her heat was for Cold Killer and Tavii. You know what I mean? And then she said she had got invited to come to the studio by Summer, from Summer. And so she took the invite. So she was out there at the studio with Summer and Tommie and whoever the main artist was or whatever, that was whatever's happening in the studio. And she felt like if there's no real pressure between her and I, why do I have to want to fight her? You know what I'm saying? She not gunning for me. And anytime we're on set, I'm not gunning for her. Why would we fight? Made sense to me. I said, that makes sense. I can understand it. I can rationalize that. You know what I mean? It's all about rationalization at the end of the day. And I was able to rationalize that thought wave, and it just made sense to me. Now I want to move forward to, I'm going to leave the Tavii and her stuff last. It's kind of like the Suki and Chrisean no shade. But I'm going to leave not in terms of like the molestation and all. No, I don't, because some of y'all be so. Anyways, so we're going to talk about, we talked about Lex, we talked about Tommie. Natalie, I could do that. I could do that after the whole, we can get to the Tavii piece. Because the rest of the conversation, okay, boom. All right. Situation numero uno. Fauna inserting herself in between Tavii and the big three. That first time we saw a tiff between the two. Fauna's perspective is that if these three women are going through what they're going through in front of everyone, and their friendship is being tested right now. One, why would we intervene? Again, my perspective, not her words to be specifically exact. Why would we intervene on that? If we were trying to hash something out, you wouldn't want somebody else to intervene. You would want us to just get off what we need to get off our chest. I understand that perspective. Also, what she was saying is that she was soft in speaking to her, but on the camera, obviously they're mic'd and we see it was a close up. She said she wasn't trying to get in there with her like that. It was just a subtle conversation off the side with her friend at the time. And I'm like, okay, cool. I grabbed that. Her reasoning for speaking on it though was because at that particular moment, she didn't want to deal with fighting nobody. She didn't want to be in the mix of fighting just for fighting over stupid shit. So Tavii potentially rallying the girls and getting them up and excited, they're going to come for her. And that means that Fauna is going to have to intervene and help Tavii in a situation with the three of them. She wasn't in the mood to fight. So she was like, girl, you ready to handle that if they want to whatever. Because I ain't in the mood for all that right now. Can we just chill and observe? And ain't even our time. Let them have their time. That was the energy she was on. I understand that. I understand that too. But this is how you know that Fauna has a good level head. Because even though we talked, and we talked about a lot of stuff. I saw screenshots and everything, child. But even after we talked about it, she acknowledged her wrongdoing between the both of them and in the situations that occurred. She said, we both were at fault. I said, I'm speaking to an adult. I'm speaking to an adult right now. I'm speaking to a level-headed. I don't know if it's because she wasn't drinking at the time. She said she had some wine. I don't know. But I'm talking to a very level-headed adult right now, and I'm enjoying this conversation. Because there has to be some accountability on both ends if an argument comes out of something. You know what I'm saying? Like it isn't always one-sided in my mind. So I appreciated that extra bit of info during that particular moment because the way that it read was that it was crazy. Also, she concurs with the level of editing, like I said earlier, because it's piss poor. Okay? My words, not hers. Okay. Next piece I want to get into. Let's get into the Gretchen piece. On my thing about to die. Let me change the battery. So we get into the Nunu piece and Gretchen piece. The Gretchen piece, where Gretchen spoke up about I think she mentioned Fauna, not Fauna, Rican, and Fauna was on that interjecting, not, you're not speaking on a girl that's not here. She never had any problems with you. You don't have any problems with her. Why are you speaking on my beach? Why are you mentioning her name? Why her name in your mouth? Because y'all never had a problem. You know what I mean? So that was what she was dealing with. And then, I told you why Tavii got up in there and was like, her perspective or whatever. But Fauna's response regarding inserting herself, interjecting, was like, there's a difference between inserting yourself because you have a caring concern for your friend versus inserting yourself for any other reason. You know what I'm saying? She felt like Gretchen was in here like swimwear over something she has no business talking about and never had an issue with Fauna. And then on the versus three thing, the big three thing, she was like, she wasn't in the mood to fight, so she didn't want nothing to break out. And that's what that was. I said, okay, cool. I get that. I said, is there any truth to you, saying that Tavii had like a big back? She was like, yeah, a wide back. That's what I said, a wide back. I said, what? What's going on? I said, why you insulting her, a parent's friend? Like, what's going on? She was like, at that point, she done, she had it. She was done. She had enough. It was too much. She was like, girl, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now let's talk about the Nunu piece. And then we're going to save Tavii for last. We're going to talk about the Nunu piece, all right? Because out of nowhere, she just popping it, right? And there was some rationalizing with her too, like to really get a different perspective. And then she had an answer for that. Boom. So her and Nunu, they talked about the K-Rican situation off camera. I don't know how they got 90 different cameramen and they don't never catch this behind the scenes stuff. So Fauna the Nunu was like, yeah, it makes no sense for you to, keep mentioning Rican's not going to be here this season. So can we just leave that out of the discussion because there's no point in it? You know what I'm saying? And besides, y'all are both beautiful women. Why are you worried about being called lookalikes or twins? Y'all both cute. Don't let something so silly be the reason why y'all beefing. Like, Cold Killer ain't got an issue with you. You ain't got an issue with Cold Killer. It ain't got to be that deep. Right? And so, according to Miss Fauna, she said what was said was understood. But Nunu would be on it. We don't be on the thing talking about we talked. No, there was an understanding. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. If there's no real issue, then there's no real issue. But I said, hold on, friend, wait a minute. I said, what about the conversation they had on the bus? That happened on the bus that was chopped out. She was like, yeah, that happened. Tavi's saying the truth, yeah. She was like, yeah, that happened. But we was also told that we can engage with each other without fighting. Now, we see certain powers that be saying this on social media. But at the same time, do we really believe them? Because if it seems like the genuine conversations that be happening, like her and Nunu, or what really happened on the bus with Nunu, Tavii, and Fauna, certain situations when the cameras just decide to stop filming for whatever reason, like the camera shouldn't really stop unless bras are going to bed. Let's be clear. But whatever, the camera stop for whatever reason. They get these talkings to like, oh, y'all don't have to fight. We just need more engagement. Y'all don't have to fight. We just need more engagement. That sounds cute on paper, but this is baddies, and y'all known for the fights, right? My perspective, Boom. So she feels like Nunu was being extra, read all about it, because we were told we don't have to fight. We just have to have genuine conversation. And so why didn't you bother having that genuine conversation way before time? Why you wait until now? Now I said, hold on, friend, because y'all had that powwow on the bus. Then rollie come on the scene with the gangster lane talking about she not doing enough. Don't you think that that's why she kind of like got up a little bit? And she was like, I mean, yeah, but no. I'm like, I mean, okay, if that's how you feel. My response to that, though, overall, like, we can't dictate when somebody decides to want to speak on something. They can speak on it whenever they want to speak on it, in my opinion, if it's regarding them. Now, if I was an outsider watching whatever happened, and I didn't say anything, and then I decide to want to say something, then I could be like, girl, shut up, because this ain't got nothing to do with you. But if it's involving me, I have the opportunity to speak on something whenever I want to. And I honestly feel that the whole Nunu piece was because of everybody saying y'all not doing enough, in my humble opinion. But we can agree to disagree, and it just is what it is. That's what it is. So that was what that was. It was her, like she said on the thing, she said, we talked about this. I don't understand why this is even happening right now. It don't make sense. This could have happened a long time ago. All right? Cool. Let's talk about the Nunu, Tavii, and Fauna piece. Because the information that I got a couple days ago was that, Nunu was politely told that her bags was not on a bus. Fauna recounts the situation being different. She feels like Tavii got buck with Nunu, which caused Nunu to respond. Now, we didn't see any of this. The cameras wasn't rolling when all of this was beginning. They just know that things got hot, so they decided to turn the cameras on. But I feel like Fauna's disposition makes a little bit more sense because Nunu been even killed his whole way through, right? Nothing really got crazy with Nunu unless something happened. And we don't necessarily know Nunu to, just go off. At least I don't. Maybe I know somebody different side. Now, I'm not saying Tavii is lying. I'm not saying Fauna is telling the truth. What I am saying is that it makes more sense for there to be a valid reason as to the reason why, Nunu and Tavii are going back and forth. It just wouldn't make sense for Nunu to just be going off or going off. I don't know. But that's just my perspective. Again, not saying anyone is right or wrong. But in that moment, because I said, why did you close the door on Tavii, friend? What's going on with that? She was like, the reason why she decided to close the door was because Nunu was regurgitating old beefs that were already squashed. And again, she was mentioning Rican's name on camera, and Rican is not here. So because it was coming across like she was trying to turn Tavii against Fauna by saying that Tavii was out here talking about Rican, or saying something Rican's name was in Tavii's mouth. So that's the only reason why Fauna got up, because she heard Nunu mention Rican and was mentioning Rican towards Tavii. So Fauna got up and was like, I know we're not talking about Rican again. Like, what's the tea? Like, what's going on? And then what is she talking about? You talking about this, what's happening with you and Rican? Y'all squashed what y'all had going on. Y'all squashed the Tavii. Why is she talking about like you bringing the name up? What's going on? As a matter of fact, I don't even want to hear what you got to say and Tammy, let's not, because you and Rican are cool, and I don't want this to be on camera. So I'ma just close the door because we ain't got to do this. We don't see none of that. We don't see none of that. We don't know nothing about none of that, Fauna. So all we see is you just closing the door and Tammy like you trying to daughter her. You trying to daughter her. That's all we see. But what she's saying from her perspective makes sense. But then my combat for that would be, I don't know if I don't recall if she said this because I don't recall asking her. Like, did you say that to her in the midst of closing the door? Because I think she admitted that that probably wasn't the best action for her to take, if I remember correctly. But I don't know if she said that she had said that part before closing the door to Tavii. Boom. So that's what happened with that. Boom. She talked about, I asked her, I said flat out, what's going on? Like, why are y'all in this spot? What happened? Right? And she was like, so much had transpired between them that it had gotten to the point of no return. It was a lot of low blows and personal digs taken from Tavii towards Fauna. Her words, not mine. I'm paraphrasing, but her perspective, not mine. And we seen some of the low blows that was out there about her doing a lot of oral and using her mouth, all of that stuff. So I'm sure that that's some of the things that she's talking about, right? So she was like, after all that, it just became too much. And she's like, you know what? We're not that far from each other. If you want to fight, let's just fight it out. Because what are we doing? We're not even on the show anymore. I said, oh. I said, oh. Oh. She said, I was like, friend, why did it have to get there? She was like, I didn't really want to fight her, but like, enough is enough. Like, you just disrespecting me out here in this public and making these, accusations and blah, 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 blah. We just need to fight. Now that births the video of Tavii coming out and be like, yeah, I'm out here. She was walking the streets looking for a fight. Then, she said I could talk about it, so I'm gonna talk about it. And I'm very diplomatic and non-biased on the air, so I'm not gonna act like she didn't tell me this. I'm not gonna act like I didn't see the text messages. So she was like, hold on, wait. I got text messages to show you. She's like, this is my issue with her. And she was like, she feels that Tavii is a little screws loose. I mean, And she was like, you was just outside on the streets talking about you want to, let's go, you on that. Then not but so many minutes after that, you text me saying, I don't really want to fight you, blah, 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 blah. Can we just figure something out? Whatever. In the text message, Fauna's like, nope, I still want to fight when I see you. And so on. We could get that in a boxing ring. We can get that on in real life. Like, it's too much. I'm ready to fight. Tavi's like, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to draw blood from you. I don't want you to draw blood from me. We can be cool. We can be cordial, whatever. Blah, blah, blase. Fauna like, no, I want to take you through there. Tavii like, all right. I'm like, oh, okay. Interesting. I'm like, there's no resolving that. She's like, no. She's like, she don't see her being Tavi's friend. Again, she was like, she's going through a lot with that situation. And she was saying that the reason why she cried or why we see her crying is because, well, in Baddies Africa, is because when she fought Dolly, because I get into the whole, are you scary? Are you copping, please? So I'll get into her response, but I'm thinking about, her crying and being emotional. And why Tavii was, consoling her. She was like, she never got into a fight to where she felt like something was wrong or broken, like her nose or whatever the case may be. And at the time, she didn't have health insurance. She had quit her job and just went to Baddies or whatever the case may be. So she was fearful that something was wrong with her face because no one going, and in her mind at the time was no one going to take care of it. And she was going to be stuck with a huge bill. So that's why she was emotional and crying in that moment. I also talked to her about, Tavii and people saying that she cop please. Tavii saying that, they have to get her to want to fight or whatever the case may be. Now, she can admit, and she did admit subtly that she did not have a problem with the noodles. She did not have a problem with the noodles. And that the only reason why she ended up fighting Dolly was because she was kind of egged on to do it like, man, you might as well type shit. And she was like, okay, all right, whatever, I'll do it. Boom, right? So she admitted to that, which is why Lex was so adamant and angry about that point because, Fauna did admit to that, and that was the one-off. But she said outside of that, there was no time where a girl wanted to fight her and she copped the plea. She was like, she down to fight anybody, ain't scared of no one, and that's just what it is. So she don't know what Tavii is talking about copping pleas and not really wanting to fight. Because she fought Lex every time Lex wanted to fight. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like that was something that the edit did not get incorrect. Because every time there was a one-up or whatever, it was like instant. Y'all was on that. So I didn't feel like the editing chopped and screwed that. She was like, yeah, no, I'm fighting whatever. It don't matter. Boom. Then we talk about the reunion piece where Lex swore up and down that she fought the girls one-on-one and then they jumped her and they jumped her twice. Fauna said that did not happen. I said, that's not how it was viewed. Like, again, we could tell when the editing is chopped and screwed versus when it's right. And I felt like it was right. She come out on stage, they fighting. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, we did not jump her twice. She said the first was a jump, but the second was a tag team. And then she referenced how she would describe how they tried to do Scotty. I said, clock it. I said, okay, I see what you're saying. I feel that. No arguments. No arguments. I talked about the Tavii piece. Yeah, everything. Tavii, whoop the whoop the whoop. We talked about, okay, so she brought up the monkey thing. And I was like, friend, you saying she got a broad back. You don't think she's going to come with the monkey jokes? And she was saying that she got like a lot of hair on her arms, like whatever. I got a lot of hair on my arms, so I couldn't see anything through the camera, like whatever. But I was like, I don't think she called you a monkey. Well, she's saying she didn't call you a monkey because of the hair on your arms. She's saying she called you a monkey because you had a hairy a hairy shirt. And y'all, if y'all would have seen the look that Tavii gave, not Tavii, Fauna gave me, she was like, for real. For real. I was like, you didn't have on a hairy shirt? She was like, I did have on a... She was like, I did have on a hairy shirt, but for real. I said, hey, my name is Bennett, and I ain't in it. And my bad, I feel like I'm woozing through this. I was smoking, y'all. And I have been working on my website all day. Like I told her, like I've been like extremely busy as this travel agent and working on this album and my voice, and it's crazy. I've been working on this site all day. I made it a members only area. It's a lot going on. Go to westernfriends.com if you want to party with your boy. Trips, and more trips. The diamondthebody and her situation, right? Now this was a big thing because Tavii was online saying that, Fauna had brought up her issue with the diamondthebody thing on camera, but she didn't talk to her about it beforehand. So Fauna's response to that was, actually, she didn't care about none of that. Her issue was that Tavii was making it seem like she was breaking it up to everybody else. But when it came to Natalie, she was making it seem like she did it on purpose so that Natalie could feel like she had her back. I was like, what? Really? Really? Now, again, I don't know who's right, who's wrong, who's telling the truth, who's not. You know what I mean? Because when I spoke to her, she was like, I can't apologize. I got to stand on it. Like, I did it. It happened. I got to stand on it. I'm like, okay, boom. But Fauna is saying that her and Cold Killer was annoyed with her because it seemed fake. It seemed like every time she was around Natalie, she was saying she did that for Natalie. Like, I held her arms down. I did it off of strength for you. But when she wasn't around Natalie, it was a different story, and that she meant to break it up. I don't know how true it is. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm like, dang, that's okay. Boom. So she said that was where her aggravation came from with that, because she was just tired of people being fake around her. People acting like they friends, but then not helping each other out. She talks about somebody getting jumped in the next episode coming, and somebody else proclaiming to be that person's friend. But when the person was getting jumped, that somebody else did not do anything to protect them. I said, oh. Can't talk about it. It didn't happen right now. I know y'all not that slow. Just can't talk about it. So I'm like, okay, so at this point, she tired of people being fake. She tired. She don't know what's going on with Tavii. Tavi's just doing too much. There's too much infighting between the two of them. They're aggravated with it. She's aggravated with it. It gets to a boiling point. I can talk about that. It didn't happen yet. It didn't happen yet, so I can't talk about it. But I'll just say Fauna expresses that she goes off on everybody, pretty much, because she feels like everybody's being fake. That's why I'm gonna leave it right there. Can't say nothing much about it, because it hasn't happened yet, and it doesn't happen until like whatever. But her thing was she was just tired of the fakeness, and she felt like that was the moment that happens on this next episode coming up, that people were being fake because your friend got jumped and you did nothing to help her. I said, oh, okay, all right, cool. My hands up. Shout out to Fauna for watching my video. Shout out to Fauna for being grown and mature and, you know, having a conversation with me. She definitely want to do an interview because she like, what up? So I'm trying to make that happen. Some of these women, child, they be having expensive rates. I mean, some of these women be having like $5,000, $10,000 rates. And child, I ain't rich. You know what I mean? I ain't a bad boy or a baddie, or I ain't rich. I'm very much independent artist. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's a rate, but you know, some of these girls got rates. You know what I mean? So they be needing a coin. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't like J-Love, who does it for free. Everybody ain't like Sarah, who does it for free. Everybody ain't like Judy, who does it for free. I'm just saying, you know, everybody ain't that. So that comes into play, and then my schedule comes into play as well. But no, we're gonna make the interview happen, because she want to do it, I want to do it, and the vibe was vibing. We was laughing and shit. And she did tell me some other stuff, but I can't even talk about it. So I'm not even gonna waste y'all time. I think this was a little long video anyway. But anyways, hopefully y'all enjoyed that tea. What I got from that is the diamond piece was crazy. Lex hinting at Fauna being dishonest is crazy over some mace. Come on now, Lex. What? And what else? The whole Nunu and her situation, and it's a lot. There's a lot that goes on, and I feel like if we could just watch the whole show with no edits, it would be 1,000 times better. It would. Anyway, leave your comments below my video. Like this video, heart this video. Let's get this video up with the likes. Let's get it 300 likes. 300 likes. Let's get it 300 likes. Let's up. Leave comments. Hype. And I love y'all. Check out my music on Soul and Air. It's on Apple, Spotify, all the playlists. I mean, all the streaming platforms is out right now. And then follow the Soul and Air on Instagram. Also, I have Eternal Escapes on YouTube. It's an ambient channel that I started to help you sleep, to help you calm down, calm your nerves. So follow Eternal Escapes. That would be dope. I love y'all. Stay blessed. Doses.